Mark Cuban, welcome to the Daily Social Distancing Show.
Thanks for having me on, Trevor.
This has been quite an interesting time in our lives, in history, in fact, because there's never been a period in time when the whole world is experiencing the exact same thing at the same time. For you personally, you're in an interesting position where you're not just a human being who's experiencing this, but you're also working on the task force assigned by the president to figure out when the country reopens. Help me understand, what is this task force about, and how are you as a team figuring out when to reopen the country?
I think first step was just getting some people together that the president thought could contribute. All we've had is a basic call so far, and then we'll go from there. In terms of specifics, he gave us some people to contact, and I put together like a 5-page note saying all these things I think need to happen for small businesses in particular, and we'll see how they respond.
You were actually one of the first team owners in the NBA to step up and say that you were going to pay for all of the people who weren't getting their salaries right now. And a lot of people forget how many people earn money from a game taking place. People selling hot dogs, people cleaning the stadium, people providing security, transport to the games. When looking at that, what are you hoping you can do in the wake of coronavirus? Because, I mean, at some point we assume sports will come back, but it may not kick off the way we think it will, right?
Yeah, I mean, the goal hopefully is just, again, once the science is in place, be able to play wherever we can play, because people need sports. We want something to cheer for. We want something to get excited about. I think we'll get out there and play without fans, play to the TV cameras. And then, in terms of the bigger ecosystem, of course, we're going to have to keep on taking care of our employees. In the past, a lot of people would talk about trickle down economics. I think one of the lessons we're going to learn from all this is that it's time for trickle up economics. We're only as strong as the base layer of all our employees, all those people who struggle and get paid hour by hour, and don't know how many hours they're going to get. If we don't take care of them, there is no economy. And we're learning that very quickly right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that then. From the business side of things, you're going to be advising the president. And I mean, one of the biggest criticisms that you can't deny in this country has been that it seems like a lot of the tax cuts or even the relief that's been proposed in this bill that's now being doled out has been aimed at helping big businesses, and it's going to help people who have a lot of money, and those on the ground will continue to suffer. What would you propose to the president, or what do you think needs to be done from the government side to help small businesses and to help people who don't have large incomes?
Well, I agree with you. I mean, look, when you look at all the interest rates that have been cut and all the federal stimulus, that's effectively UBI for rich people. The government is coming in and buying a lot of expensive assets that everyday people don't have access to. They're not getting support from. And so the things that I've recommended initially is to try to push and reward companies that offer equity in their company to their employees. Because the only way that you can get away from living paycheck to paycheck is by having an asset that can appreciate. Whether it's a home, whether it's stock in your company, whatever it may be. Second thing is we're going to have to raise the minimum wage federally, because right now we're coming to the realization, again, that we've got to have a strong foundation of people, and a strong federal minimum wage is one of the first ways that we can do that.
Let me ask you this. If you were giving advice to a small business right now, there's many small businesses who have had to furlough workers. There's many small businesses who have just had to fire workers. What would you suggest to people who don't want to fire anybody, but also don't want to lose everything in trying to sustain their employees? Is there a balance? Is there something you think they can do?
Yeah, there's things that you can try. First, you have to apply for all the loans from the small business. I mean, the Paycheck Protection Program, they're probably going to refund that. So you want to be in line when there's new money that comes in there. There's the emergency loans from the SBA. Those are the basics things that you have to understand as an entrepreneur. When we get through this, let's call it America 2.0, the reset, right? The people that work for you, the people whose feet are on the ground talking to your customers, who are out in the communities as much as they can be, they're going to have better ideas than the bosses will have. They're going to be able to come up with ways to sustain your business. And so I'm telling all my little companies, talk to your employees, let them talk to your customers, because that's where the best sustainable ideas are going to come from.